Where would we be without these black women in Congress? I think I'll label this video that because I have seen some of the most courageous black women that have probably set foot in Congress in the last 30, 40 years. And I'm not saying courageous just for sitting in the chair. I'm talking about for opening your mouth and thinking about your people and willing to put it all on the line without help from the men that's supposed to be backing them up. And I know there are a lot of men out there that are doing it, but they're not saying it, and I don't see them. But this woman, Representative Ariana Presley, gives us, especially black people and Americans, something to be proud of, and articulates herself in such a manner that I think and I know that they understand what she's talking about, and you will too.
This bill, titled the Dismantling DEI Act, is an utter disgrace. Having sat and read the text in preparation for today's markup, I have yet another example to tell my constituents about the unserious work of the Republican Party. Now, I'll work with anyone serious about progress who wants to center the people who call this country home. This isn't it. The Committee on Oversight has the broadest jurisdiction in the entire House of Representatives to investigate any topic it chooses, but we are debating legislation that denies the sky is blue, water is wet, and racism is real. The major provision of the bill says to ban anything that acknowledges racism. And a few pages later in the exact same bill, there are multiple provisions discussing the presence of racism. This Republican approach is as predictable as it is nonsensical. On one hand, they're saying that racism does not exist. On the other hand, they are saying there is rampant reverse racism. Well, how do you reverse something that never existed in the first place? Riddle me that. While this Republican policy may have a new name, it's the same old tired game. Look, y'all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. Do you all know your history? Do you know American history? The original Constitution counted enslaved individuals as 3/5 of a person. During World War II, the federal government forcibly relocated and incarcerated 110,000 Japanese Americans. The FHA practiced redlining in the 1930s and 60s to deny mortgages to black Americans, which is why we have a racial wealth gap today. I could go on. The GI Bill, which is supposed to be race neutral, denied access to black Americans, denying them equal access to education and housing benefits, which is why we do not have generational wealth. Don't talk to me about merit when those black servicemen fought for our freedoms. And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Your perversion of his words and his mission when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work when he was a proud and unapologetic black man fighting for equality for black Americans and all marginalized people. So you all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. But I'm not surprised that you would deny American history. What I am, though, is committed. Committed to speaking truth to power, committed to standing up for marginalized communities and vulnerable people, committed to ensuring that everyone has equal opportunity to buy a house, to work a job, to pursue higher education, and to live in a society that is fair and just. A colleague across the aisle invoked the phrase of, we must do everything to stop government-sponsored oppression. Well, I've just enumerated numerous examples, which is exactly why we have legislation and an executive order to reverse this harm. And that is why I'm committed to opposing this bill and urge my colleagues to do the same.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I ask myself, where are the Republican I might as well take that back. But where are the Democratic representatives, black men, in all of this? Why are you silent? I can almost forgive the Republican black men because we already know that they're Toms, okay? We already know where their real alliance or allegiance is motivated to support. They have been what we called back in the day, they have been turned out. And what I mean by that is they don't have allegiance to their community. They have allegiance to their family, but most of all, to their master. And he has shown them exactly who they are, no matter how much stumping they did for him and praising him. I think only one cabinet member or one appointee is black that Trump has done, and he might have did that just so that he would have just one, okay, one that he can trust. But the rest of y'all, you get what you paid for. You get the admission that you paid for. You give all, you get nothing. And that's been the story of black people all. But giving intelligent white men in Congress a history lesson in the Constitution in American history is not the job of a congresswoman, because what we know is that what they're doing, you call reverse racism. You're always saying something is reverse when the only thing I understand is when it comes to stealing money, you in forward. When you come to take away our rights, there's nothing in reverse, it's forward. Nobody calls you out. You have been running around the playground doing whatever you want like a bully, and you don't want anybody to tell you anything. You think that wherever the soles of your feet hit in this world, that it belongs to you, and that's got to change. Now, black folks, I know you don't want to give up your homes and your big pretty cars, especially you athletes, celebrities, and people who make money. Bourgeoisie, some people call, okay? The talented 10 that went wrong, the talented 10 that didn't give back to the community. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, read Dr. Du Bois' book, The Talented 10. Those people who were supposed to lead the black community into prosperous times. But what happened is they decided to create their own community, educate their own community, and leave the black folks behind. So they're just worse than our masters were. So what are we going to do? Well, I want to tell you something about a story of a man that was so brilliant that he created and sold machinery engineered by him for his freedom. Okay? That's how creative he was doing, and was a slave doing it. So, you all have God in you, and you all have creativity within you. Nobody needs to tell you that. Use that to purchase your freedom. And if you think you're not free, go try to do what white folks do and see what happened to you.